From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
It's Tuesday, August 25th, and right now on Good Morning Indiana.
When I saw him, I just fell to the ground crying.
A local woman is alerting you to the dangers on the Monon Trail. This morning, the crash leaving her husband in the hospital, and a warning so this doesn't happen to you. The coronavirus has put a number of central Indiana businesses in a tough spot. Working for you, we're looking at why some businesses are having a rough time assessing the benefits intended to keep their doors open.
Do not wait. I went yearly fake every year, but within 1 year, I had breast cancer.
The pandemic has steered people needing routine care away from the doctor's office. Why doctors say putting off annual exams could put your health at risk.
Welcome to Good Morning Indiana. On this Tuesday, the welcome mat, Lauren, is out. As the summer sizzle is settling in. It is hot and humid out there. Whoa, get me a water bottle.
Oh my goodness, yes. So, last week I think a lot of times we said, oh, grab a little light jacket before you head out there this morning. Sure. That is not the case today, Todd. It is already pretty warm out there this morning.
I told you, it's like, it's a little cool out there, I know, for many people in August, but the heat, I told you it was going to return, and boy, did it ever yesterday. 91 degrees was the high temperature today, potentially a little bit warmer. And Raphael is exactly right. You need to drink plenty of water if you're going to be out there, as you need to keep yourself very, very hydrated, as you will be working up a sweat really without exerting much force. Maybe just to walk around the block and you'll be really, really sweating. So make sure you do drink water today. 73, and if you're thinking about a workout this morning, obviously better than this afternoon. It's still pretty muggy out there this morning, but temperatures are going to be about 20 degrees warmer later on this afternoon. In spots we're at 73 in Indy right now. 69 is the current temperature as you make your way into the Terre Haute area. Northern areas may get into a brief period here this morning with a quick passing shower and some clouds, as you see up there towards Chicago. They'll continue to move south, but otherwise sunshine straight across the board. Your 1 p.m. temperature already close to 90 degrees. We'll talk about the rest of today and also look ahead to the rest of your 7-day planning forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We are monitoring still that crash at the North Split. This is in the eastbound I-70 lane and I-65 at the North Split. Right 2 lanes are closed due to a crash cleanup, and it looks like everything is at a complete standstill, so you will want to avoid the interstate in this area. Again, we're getting word that this is eastbound I-70 at the North Split, so as you're heading in from areas to the north, you may want to get off the interstate by MLK or areas north of that just to avoid any issues. We're going to continue to monitor this scene, but just something to keep in mind if this is part of your commute early this morning. Raphael?
Lauren, the loans denied, the jobs at stake this morning, the struggle to keep businesses open during this pandemic, and the help that is now being offered. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning with the details. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Raphael. So we have heard from several businesses across the state that are struggling to stay open right now after being closed for months earlier this year. They say they just can't get that funding that the government has promised. Stacy and Rick's Soul Food on the east side may not make it to 2021. And owner Rick Fowler says he's been denied for multiple loans and grants. He says he's even talked to someone in the governor's office for help, but still hasn't received any loan money. Larry Williams Jr. is the president of the Indy Black Chamber and says Stacy and Rick's is not the only restaurant struggling after trying to get financial help. Williams says the economic injury disaster loan from the Small Business Administration is one of several programs many small and black-owned businesses are missing out on. Williams says the Paycheck Protection Program, meant to help businesses pay their employees during the pandemic, requires businesses to provide their workers with a W-2. So that means businesses that rely on contractors or pay workers in cash are ineligible.
Another reason why they got denied for the PPP loan was they were not profitable. And usually the first 5 years of your company, you're not profitable. You're just kind of staying afloat.
So Fowler thought some of those loans he applied for would be automatically forgiven, but Williams says that is true, but on paper, it has to look as if the business can pay that loan back. Those without profits or employees without W-2s can't show that. So if you are an owner of a struggling small business right now, it's important that you reach out to organizations like the Indy Black Chamber or your local chamber to get some guidance and assistance on applying for loans that will work for you. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. Let's turn now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and the impact it's having on our state. This morning, state health officials confirmed 688 new cases of the virus, meaning more than 87,000 people have tested positive since the pandemic began. Health officials also confirmed 5 more Hoosiers have died from the virus. This morning, more than 3,000 Hoosiers have died from COVID-19. This morning, Indiana State University is showing the public how it's keeping tabs on the number of COVID-19 cases on campus. The school's coronavirus dashboard here showing 7 students on campus with the virus. More than 3 dozen cases are reported in students living off campus. This morning, 17 students on campus are in quarantine, while more than 60 off campus are in isolation. This morning marks 1 week since students returned to class on the Terre Haute campus. Raphael.
So let's keep focused on this critical issue, because this morning we're getting more perspective on that possible treatment for COVID-19 that's getting a lot of national attention. On Sunday, the Food and Drug Administration granted an emergency use authorization for convalescent plasma. The treatment separates plasma from the blood of someone who has recovered from COVID-19. Now, the blood gets pumped back into the donor's body, and the plasma can be used on a patient who has the coronavirus. Dr. Nicholas Paros, he's the medical director of transplant and infectious diseases at IU Health. He says the treatment is one of many being studied.
In terms of the mortality benefit, it's difficult to know which one of the interventions that we're doing is actually given the major advantage to the patients, and it's perhaps even a combination of them that is giving advantage to the patient. So it's really difficult to pinpoint which one is giving this impact.
And so we have more information about this, Lauren. At least one central Indiana patient credits the convalescent plasma with helping save his life. I want you to meet Dave Falkenberg. He spent a month in the hospital.
And Raphael, at one point he was in a coma. He's just grateful doctors gave him the plasma treatment option.
It was the treatment that got me over this. It brought me back to where I would feel better and my body could overcome this. What I like people at home know is that it is so important that we all get involved. If you can be a donor, I would highly recommend that. There's nothing better than helping somebody else out. It always comes back to help you out.
It's great to see him up and recovered from that. The FDA does say that approval is not the same as authorization, and this is not a cure that we know of yet. So the goal is to gather more information right now and to gather more plasma. So this morning, health officials say there's still a lot of data to collect on this treatment, including putting it through randomized controlled clinical trials. Raphael.
And this morning we have more local news for you. The safety concerns right now along a section of the Monon Trail under construction. WRTV's Alyssa Donovan joins us live this morning with one woman's warning about this section of the trail. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning, Raphael. And this construction project above me will eventually lead to a safer route for those using the Monon on their bike or if they're walking. But right now, one woman says it's causing issues, and she says it's one of the reasons that her husband was hospitalized, and that's due to an intersection that is a temporary crossing. Katie Swanee's husband, Jack, rides his bike every evening through the intersection near 38th and Winthrop. And she says that he's typically gone for a couple hours. Last Wednesday, he never came home. Instead, she was called from Methodist Hospital, and she was informed that Jack was being rushed to surgery after he was hit by a motorcyclist while crossing the intersection. Jack suffered 2 collapsed lungs, a compound fracture in his femur, 4 broken ribs, and he needed to have his spleen removed. The person on the motorcycle was also taken to the hospital. Sweeney says she wants to warn people about the dangerous intersection, and she wants to see more signage alerting drivers to watch for pedestrians.
I mean, obviously nobody's walking out or biking out into oncoming traffic on purpose. And then a car just comes barreling around the corner. 52nd is terrible as a driver as well. You can't see past the bushes. You can't see when there's people coming.
DPW says many of the Monon Trail intersections include flashing beacons or signage for vehicles that say yield to trail users or something similar. There's also signage on the trail notifying cyclists and pedestrians of the upcoming intersection. And if 38th Street is part of your morning or evening commute, just be aware that the intersection of 38th and Winthrop is going to be a temporary crossing for cyclists and pedestrians for quite some time, as this bridge is not expected to be completed until July of next year. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
Alyssa, thank you. So millions of women are expected to get a mammogram each year, but just ahead why thousands of Hoosier women are putting off that annual exam and how that is putting their health at risk.
And Lauren, the next round of tropical weather has the Gulf Coast right in the bullseye. This morning, how residents along the coast are now preparing for these storms. Todd.
And eventually, Laura, will impact central Indiana just a little bit as we get closer to the weekend. But the focus today is once again on the heat and humidity across central Indiana, as we'll be climbing up into the 90s, but also keeping an eye on some storms moving into the Chicago area. Those could impact parts of central Indiana later on this morning. We'll lay it all out for you coming up in your full weather forecast right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. It is 6:14 on your Tuesday. Raphael, thousands of women across Indiana have missed their yearly mammogram thanks to the coronavirus pandemic.
And so this morning, a health alert. Our Amanda Starantino explains how those skipped appointments are putting Hoosier women at risk.
If I'm only seeing 1 to 2 people a week, that means there is a significant number of women out there walking around with breast cancer that they haven't identified it yet because they didn't do their screening.
Dr. Erica Giblin says things are getting back to normal at Ascension St. Vincent after coronavirus concerns put a stop to elective procedures back in March. On average at Ascension St. Vincent, Indianapolis, Dr. Giblin says the hospital screens up to 4,000 women a month for breast cancer. COVID changed that.
When they did the stay-at-home order, those numbers went down by about 95 to 97%. That's a lot, okay? So now that begs the question, since the stay-at-home order has been lifted, right, are the women coming back through the doors to get their mammograms? Because for that period of time, pretty much nobody was getting a mammogram except if they presented with a lump or something that they were suspicious that was breast cancer.
Leanda Walls is a 1-year breast cancer survivor. She is urging women to not wait an extra year to get their mammogram regardless of their risk factors.
Since I was 40, I yearly had my checkup, never missed.
Every year for 18 years, Leanda has gotten a mammogram and had no issues until 2019. With no family history of breast cancer, they found something in her screening. She was at stage 1.
Do not wait. I went yearly every year, but within 1 year, I had breast cancer. So had I missed that next year appointment, it could have went the worst way. It could have been worse. So it's very important to keep checked.
Having lost her husband and her 25-year-old daughter in 2014, Leanda will still go into the clinic even during the pandemic to check on her health, not just for herself, but for her family.
My children. I have 1 daughter and 3 grandchildren. And that's what I live for.
Dr. Giblin worries too many women are skipping their appointments and missing important diagnosis.
2 to 3 years from now, we think we're going to see a significant number of women presenting with advanced breast cancer because of this pandemic where they, missed their mammogram.
Dr. Giblin is reminding women not to let their concerns about COVID-19 get in the way of their overall health.
The hospital is actually one of the safer places to come in to get your routine care. Everybody's wearing a mask. They are cleaning the premises constantly. So if you compare coming into a hospital to get your screening mammogram as compared to going to your local Kroger or Lowe's, hospital is going to be a safer place. So we just want people to understand that it is safe to come in for their screening mammograms. They should not neglect the routine preventative health care, even though there's a pandemic going on.
And that was Amanda Starantino reporting. The American Cancer Society says that women should have yearly mammograms starting at 45 years old. It is now time to check your forecast. And Todd Clausen, is this another good day to go golfing? Because it is, Todd Clausen. I have put some cool, cold beverages in the fridge. I can be your caddy today. So you let me know. I am there for you.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I was on the golf course yesterday, and I'm still trying to quench my thirst, Raphael. You need to definitely stay hydrated if you are going to be out and about, whether it's on the golf course or just exercising, as we are going to be dealing with another day with a lot of heat and humidity across the area, and you will be working up a sweat and a thirst very, very quickly. This morning, it's warm and clear. If you can exercise this morning, obviously better than when we really heat things up, and as we work our way into the afternoon and evening hours, that's exactly what we'll do. We're still waiting for the sun to brighten the sky here on this Tuesday morning. Sunrise not until now after 7 o'clock. Temperatures in the 70s right now. 73 in Indy, 76 is the current temperature in Muncie. At the top of your screen, you do notice a little bit of cloud cover and a few showers approaching Kankakee. There's a pretty good cluster of storms near Chicago that are weakening, but they are going to spread at least some cloud cover into parts of the area, especially to the north this morning. Most of those showers should continue to diminish, but for places like Logansport, Monticello, even into the Peru area, can't rule out the chance of maybe a quick passing shower. But as the sky starts to brighten and the sun comes up, we should be able to burn that moisture off really, really quickly. Temperatures hold pretty steady for the next hour or two, and then you notice they quickly start to go up, 87 degrees as we work our way into the noon hour, on our way up to a high today of 93. If you want to compare that to yesterday's high temperature was 91, so we're going to be running another degree or two warmer, with just a chance of a stray storm flaring up later on this afternoon, but it's only about a 10% chance of seeing that quick passing downpour. Highs again will be in the low 90s and then falling into the mid 80s as we get into the evening hours. And then for the day tomorrow, we'll do it all over again, back up into the low 90s. Should make this a heat wave, which is 3 consecutive days of 90-degree temperatures and skies that'll be mostly sunny across the area. And then as we go forward in the forecast, the change is going to arrive on Thursday, and that's when we're going to bring in some clouds and also the return of some showers to the forecast. So with the clouds and the showers around, we likely won't make it to 90 degrees. We'll keep the temperatures in the 80s as we work our way into the course of Thursday afternoon. And then as we continue into the rest of your 7-day planning forecast, you're going to notice the temperatures really do cool down as we get into Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures in the morning on Sunday especially are going to be in the 50s. Same on Monday morning, with Sunday a high temperature of 80 degrees. But when you look at on Friday and you see Laura there, 87 degrees, Lauren, that's when we're going to start to potentially see the impacts of Laura here across the area.
And Todd, you just mentioned Laura. It's kind of the big national story as that storm eyes the Gulf Coast. Can you give us the latest on the track this morning?
Yeah, so it's a tropical storm right now, and it's right on the edge of Cuba. It's expected to become a hurricane later on this afternoon as it kind of lifts up through the Gulf of Mexico. And eventually it's going to head towards the Houston area. And this is the latest track that's just in from the National Hurricane Center. And the difference is, as you look at the numbers in the center of those icons, yesterday evening was still only expected to be a Category 2 storm when it makes landfall. You see it's now upgraded to potentially a Category 3 storm as it makes landfall right on the Texas and Louisiana border. As far as the impact for us here in central Indiana, it won't be a tropical system anymore. It'll be subtropical, but it will bring the center of low pressure through Kentucky. That puts it close enough to definitely give us some clouds to keep us a little bit more on the cooler side as we go throughout the course of Friday. But it's also close enough to bring some showers into the forecast, definitely in southern sections of central Indiana. But that's going to be the biggest impact, at least here locally, and that would again be Friday into early Saturday morning.
Todd, thank you so much. As you just saw, Todd showed us the track of that storm, and people living along the Gulf Coast already packing up all their essentials, and they're moving out as the storm approaches the Gulf Coast. In Louisiana, Todd just talked about that. Those seeking refuge from the storm will not be able to go to an emergency shelter. And that's because the state's not opening any. The coronavirus pandemic affecting what would be a normal option for people forced to flee their homes. And remember, you can get the latest tropical forecast right now on the Storm Shield app. Lauren?
Raphael, we do have a traffic alert for drivers heading into the downtown area right now. Here's an East View camera at a crash we're monitoring in the right lanes at I-70 and the North Split. This is the eastbound lanes just past the North Split, and the view here near Washington Street shows you that northbound traffic is getting really backed up in that area. It's also slow heading southbound on 65 past Meridian Street as you're heading to the North Split. So if you can't get off at either MLK to avoid delays if you're north of the North Split, or if you're south of that and you're heading northbound on the interstate, get off at Washington Street to avoid this backup. We'll have more news and weather after the break.
And temperatures this morning are in the 70s here across central Indiana. Good Tuesday morning to you. It's going to be a warm and muggy start, but it's dry at least here across central Indiana. As you can see in the center of your screen, WRTV radar is completely quiet. Logansport at 70 degrees. 76 is the current temperature in Muncie. As we work our way throughout the course of the day today, it's going to be even warmer today than it was yesterday, as our high temperature is expected to get up to 90 degrees here across the area, potentially 93 degrees in Indianapolis. So everybody will continue the streak of 90-degree weather that we started yesterday. Drink plenty of water if you are going to be out and about throughout the day today.
Todd, thank you. So this morning, millions of Americans are asking, where's the stimulus money? Working for you, our John Matarese breaks down what's holding up the process.
A number of viewers have contacted me in recent days asking when we're going to see that second round of stimulus checks. So we wanted to know what's holding up the checks that both Congress and the president want to send us. Did you watch the Democratic convention last week? Are you watching the Republicans this week? The people who have to approve the next round of $1,200 stimulus checks are watching too. So those checks are temporarily on hold. That's according to a report in CNET, which says it is unlikely the second stimulus will be approved for 2 more weeks. It says Congress is on break till Labor Day, making the vote most likely for stimulus on September 8th. Assuming President Trump signs the bill by September 10th, checks should likely start going out on September 21st. Just like with the last stimulus, the first round of checks will go to people whose bank accounts are on file with the IRS. As always, don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese. Good morning, Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
And now on Good Morning Indiana on this Tuesday morning, here's a look at your 6:30 news feed. Bus stops will be changing for some Indigo riders. The transit system has been studying how many people get on and off at each of its stops. The results will lead some stops to be consolidated or moved. Indigo says that more than 500 bus stops will be affected by the changes that start next month.
Financial help is coming from music and entertainment venues in Marion County. 17 independent businesses will get money from the Music City's Strategy Recovery Program that's funded by the Federal CARES Act. Among them, the Chatterbox, the Burnside Inn, the Jazz Kitchen, and the Vogue. Most live music venues have not been able to operate for several months, as you know, due to the public health orders related to COVID-19.
TJ Warren gave the Pacers an early lead, but the Miami Heat proved to be too much. The Heat completed a 4-game sweep of the Pacers, 99-87, giving Indiana a first-round playoff exit for the 5th straight season. The team heads into next season with lots of questions, including whether to sign Victor Oladipo to a long-term deal. His current contract expires next year.
Takuma Sato enjoying his second run as Indy 500 champion, even if his paycheck isn't as big this time around. Sato won more than $1.37 million for his victory on Sunday. And that's just over half of what he took home after his first win back in 2017. IMS owner Roger Penske had to cut this year's total purse for drivers due to the pandemic. Sato also gets to take home a replica of this year's Corvette Stingray pace car.
All right, here at 6:30, I want to thank you for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Raphael, good morning to you down in Johnson County.
It is going to be a toasty Tuesday, and I've attempted to get you guys to go out to lunch with me, and I would pay. Forget the lunch. How about some ice cream today and some bottles of water, because obviously it's going to be a hot one.
Yeah, you know, you definitely need to stay hydrated across the area. You'll be working up a sweat very, very quickly, and you don't realize how quickly you can become dehydrated with temperatures in the 90s. That's what we're expecting later on today. And if you do go out for ice cream, you're going to have to eat it really, really quick because it's going to be melting very fast as you get into the afternoon hour. So what do you need to grab as you walk out the door this morning? Have the sunglasses, have the sunscreen as well. The sun's still very strong, and as we've mentioned, a water or Gatorade, something you really need to have throughout the day today. 73 in Indy right now, as well as Bloomington and Greenwood, 76 in Muncie. The sky's just starting to brighten a little bit there as you look from downtown to the north. Otherwise, skies are completely clear. A few spotty showers up here in northwest Indiana now, and those showers should continue to weaken as they push to the south. But if you do live in northern locations, you may deal with a little more in the way of cloud cover this morning compared to southern locations where it will be completely sunny. 87 degrees by the noon hour. Your 5 p.m. temperature is 91, but we should hit a high of 93 degrees, probably right around 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. When you factor in the humidity, Lauren, it's going to feel more like it's going to be 95 to 100 degrees.
All right, Todd. Well, if you're heading out on the roads this morning, you need to be aware of some major delays we're monitoring in the downtown area. It's all due to the crash on eastbound I-70 just past the north split heading over to the east side. But that's creating some slowdowns for drivers on northbound I-65, like right here at Washington Street. You can see on the right side of the screen the stop and go traffic. Just be aware of that and give yourself extra time, as well as if you're heading southbound on I-65 and you're approaching MLK and West Street. That's where we're starting to see some slowdowns there heading into the north split. Again, just be aware that this is happening right east of the north split. We'll continue to monitor this scene and keep you updated throughout the morning. Raphael?
On this Tuesday, we are focused on a critical issue. Working for you, WRTV is getting answers for Hoosiers who are running into a new roadblock when applying for unemployment benefits. Some people who have been collecting pandemic unemployment assistance, also known as PUA, say they're suddenly having an issue not being eligible for those dollars after filling out a voucher. PUA provides benefits to those who are not eligible for regular unemployment. WRTV reached out to the Department of Workforce Development. In a statement, officials say the department added a question on the PUA weekly unemployment insurance vouchers to help identify fraud. But the question has created some confusion. According to the statement, the department is now reviewing claimant answers and will cancel all issues where there appears to be confusion. They say this issue is expected to be resolved by midweek. Several businesses in central Indiana and around the state continue to struggle from the effects of this pandemic, Lauren.
And Raphael, our own Kelsey Anderson is joining us live this morning with some of the barriers that they're facing and how one organization is stepping up to help them. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Lauren, Raphael. So yeah, you're right. We have heard from several businesses across the state that are struggling right now after being closed for months earlier this year. They say getting that PPP funding is a lot harder than they expected. We stopped in at Stacy and Rick's Soul Food on the east side, and they tell us they may not make it to 2021. Owner Rick Fowler says he's been denied for multiple loans and grants. He says he's even talked to someone in the governor's office for help, but Larry Williams Jr. says he can help. He is the president of the Indy Black Chamber and says Stacy and Rick's is not the only restaurant struggling after trying to get financial help. He says the Economic Injury Disaster Loan from the Small Business Administration is one of several programs many small and Black-owned businesses are missing out on. Williams says the Paycheck Protection Program, meant to help businesses pay their employees during the pandemic, requires that businesses provide workers with a W-2. So that means businesses that rely on contractors or pay workers in cash are ineligible. He tells us they are trying to get funded so they can assist more businesses in a timely manner.
We're here to help the Black community, because as these Black businesses grow, they hire Black people. And as Black people get good good jobs, and they no longer rent. They start buying homes, and once they buy homes, they invest into their community. And as the Black community grows, Indianapolis grows as a whole.
The mayor's office told us the city does not fund the operation of the Indy Chamber, but it does contract the chamber for several COVID relief programs. They gave us a breakdown of each. The Indy Chamber says 28% of its rapid response loans went to Black-owned businesses. 38% of the PPP loans it helped administer went to Black-owned businesses, and 15% of Ready to Restart grants have gone to Black-owned businesses. The Restart grants help businesses pay for protective equipment and other safety measures. And the Indy Black Chamber was one of the Indy Chamber's outreach partners for the program. So if you are the owner of a small business across the state that's struggling right now, it's important that you reach out to programs like the Indy Black Chamber or just your local chamber for help and advice on how to get this funding that you probably need right now. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. So how safe is the Monon Trail? We spoke with a woman whose husband was hit on the trail during his bike ride. She says more needs to be done to help keep people safe along the Monon Trail. WRTV's own Alyssa Donovan is joining us live this morning with that family story. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning. And the area her husband was hit is just down the road from here, and it's a temporary intersection due to this construction project. This is a bridge being built over 38th Street. It eventually will be a safer option for those using the Monont Trail and crossing the busy road. But the temporary intersection that Jack Swaney was hit at is just 1 block from here. It's at 38th and Winthrop. We spoke with Swaney's wife, who says she wants to make drivers and pedestrians aware of the busy roadway and the detour. This after Jack was hit by a motorcycle while riding his bike last week. Jack suffered multiple injuries, including a collapsed lungs, a fractured femur, and broken ribs. Swaney says she wants there to be more notice to drivers that the Monon Trail detour is there.
I would love to see stop signs, minimally some kind of signage that is very clearly stating who has the right of way that drivers can see.
DPW says many of the Monon Trail intersections include flashing beacons of signage for vehicles that say yield to trail users or something similar. There's also signs on the trail notifying cyclists and pedestrians of the upcoming intersection. Now, the intersection this morning is quite dark, just a block down from me, but there is a sign there that says Monon Trail crossing and watch out for bikes. So if you use 38th Street in your morning or evening commute, just be aware that that trail is intersecting there at least for the next year, because this bridge is not supposed to be finished until July of 2021. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
More than 87,000 Hoosiers have now tested positive for COVID-19 since the pandemic began. Here's a look at the latest numbers from the State Department of Health. 688 new cases confirmed, bringing the total to 87,592. 5 more deaths were also reported on Monday. The death toll in our state now stands at 3,008. The state has reached a milestone, testing more than 1 million Hoosiers so far. And check out this giant banner on the campus of Ball State University. That's Gabe Cockert. He's a nursing student from Greenfield. He's featured on the 60-foot-tall banner on the side of Ball State's Teachers College building. The banner was installed last school year as part of the university's We Fly campaign. But recently, Ball State added a face mask as part of the Cardinals Care campaign. In the Ball State University magazine, Gabe is quoted as saying, "As a nursing major, I understand the science behind mask wearing, hand washing, physical distancing, and all other best practices for preventing the spread of coronavirus." Congratulations to him, his message, and of course, as always at Ball State, chirp, chirp.
All right, Raphael. Well, the 4-day push to boost President Trump is now underway. Next, night 1 of the Republican convention, and then some Republicans who say they're voting Democrat in November. It is 6:39. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. The Republican National Convention is underway 1 week after the Democrats hosted their big event.
Republican leaders, as well as the president's family members, were prominently featured on night one as the president himself was there. ABC's Ines Laquatera has the latest from Washington.
Overnight, the Republican Party uniting behind President Trump.
This president has a record of strength and success. The former vice president has a record of weakness and failure.
The RNC kicking off with a mix of live speeches and virtual content and a speaker lineup that included close Trump associates and family.
Biden has promised to take that money back out of your pocket and keep it in the swamp. That makes sense, though, considering Joe Biden is basically the Loch Ness Monster of the swamp.
Republicans also taking the chance to paint the president's 2020 opponents and the Democratic Party as far left.
If we let them, they will turn our country into a socialist utopia.
President Trump expected to make an appearance every day of the convention, making a surprise speech on Monday after formally becoming his party's nominee.
What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. They're using COVID to defraud the American people, all of our people, of a fair and free election.
But the Biden camp calling day one a parade of dark and divisive fear-mongering designed to distract from the president's failure on the pandemic and the economic fallout, releasing this new ad.
We need a team that's up to the task.
And tonight, the big speaker will be First Lady Melania Trump, who will deliver her speech from the White House Rose Garden. Ines de la Cuetera, ABC News, Washington.
And because I am gravely concerned